Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. We're actually shooting this intro at the end of the week. You'll see on the video we had lots of help and hard work getting that tunnel tent put up.
Yeah, it was very, very exciting, and I want to say it was fun, and it was, but it was also a little bit, crazy, I guess is the word I want to look for. And everything went wonderfully, and we got that whole thing up, and we're going to show you that whole process.
Yep.
But we also had our biggest setback on the entire project at the end of this week. So we'll get to that at the end. So we'll see you over at the lot right now.
Let's go.
Our friend Brian DeRuda's here, and he's brought us this monstrosity, which is our tunnel tent in this giant box that weighs 1,700 pounds, which is actually a little bit more than that Bobcat's really supposed to be lifting. So quite heavy. So we're gonna have to open up our gates a little bit here, make room to get this thing in so we can start putting it up tomorrow and the next few days. Okay, today we're going to start putting up the shade tent, and we already went to my house where I have a drill press and drilled some holes, special holes that we needed to attach to the pole system over on the other side. On the shipping container, it's no problem because we're just going to be welding the feet right to the shipping container. But on this side, we had to set it up for some U-bolts and such. So we organized all of the different parts. There's a bunch over here and a bunch in the foreground here. By type, so that we can easily start constructing the loops. And our plan is to build a loop on the ground and then tilt it up, build another one on the ground and tilt it up, and connect those two loops. Then we'll walk that loop down to the middle of the bow. So that's what we're doing next.
Well, we've raised our first hoop. No easy task, but it's up. Now we're going to get to the second one. Put them together, that way they'll support each other and stand easier.
They sent some duct tape with us and they want us to tape the joints. It's just a water protection, so why not? And while Brian's taping those joints, I just wanted to mention that the height you see of this hoop tent would be, if it was sitting on the ground, that would be 13 feet to the top there. But our boat is taller than that, and we need room to walk underneath of it all. So once we construct all of these hoops and everything, and they're sitting on the ground, we're going to bring a scissor lift in and we're going to lift them another 9 feet up so that the top of those is now 22 feet in the air, and they'll be mounted to the top of that shipping container and over onto our poles on the other side. So this isn't how tall it's going to be. It's going to be another 9 feet higher than this eventually, but again, we'll use a scissor lift to do that, not human power. It's way too heavy for that. All right, let's start going up. Okay, you got it okay? Okay. Now, let's get these things on. All right, let me know if you start to die. Yay! That was exciting, but at least with that much of it, it's not likely to be tipping over now. We got to get some more struts across now. Get it to really become a solid unit. The instructions leave a lot to be desired. praying mantis. We found him on our boat. He's not official crew though, so we're gonna let him go over there in the bushes. So we're working on the opposite end here down at the stern of the boat currently, the stern, eventually it'll be the bow. But we're gonna do the 2 end loops, and when we get the scissor lift, we'll pick up the one that's down there and bring it to the center, and then have to build that one at the time because we just don't have enough room to pre-construct that one. So we'll do the 2 end loops and then move that end, move forward and do a new end on that. So we're gonna put up the stern one right now. Wish us luck. It's day 3 of building our structure for our tunnel tent, and we're going to finish it today. So on the day 1, Brian and I got these hoops built up in pairs and got them tilted up there. And then on day 2, which we didn't really show you much because it wasn't very exciting, but we were digging ditches, like digging holes really, and setting up the structure on the other side over there to hold it. And that's all staked in with massive stakes and things, so it's very secure. Today we're going to put up the rest of the hoops, and we're going to raise this whole thing up 23 feet in the air. And for that we have a little scissor lift that we're going to use to raise these up, which we're about to unload over here. We've got Brian DeRuiter here delivering it for us. He's always great for that stuff. And then we got Ken to help, and a couple more people coming later when we're going to start raising the canopy. So it's a good old barn raising day.
Got about 1.5 inches on this one.
I mentioned that this is only 30 feet wide and our boat is 25 feet, 11 or 10 inches, somewhere in there. And so it was too close to the hull, so that's why we had to sort of stair step it over on the side to make room. Number 1 was really crazy, and we're raising number 2. Are we ready?
What are you doing, Phil?
I'm putting these long poles on because it's too narrow here to lift this thing. It also bows that here, so there's stronger struts out on the edges, and so we put these bars across to lift by those stronger struts. And we don't go up there with it. We just let the poles do the work. So a few things about the placement of our tunnel tent on the lot and where our boat will be positioned underneath of it. So this is an overhead view of the lot, and I'll highlight our specific lot here. And so you can see our orange and green shipping containers, which are 40 feet long or 20 feet long, with that orange tree in between. And once we flip the canoes around and start building the boat, we're going to position it about like this. And so that's the orientation of the construction once we flip them around. And we're going to move the bow of the boat very close, about 1 foot from the fence line that goes through here. And the stern will be back here where you see it now. And if we put in a overhead view here of the new tunnel tent, this is basically the shape of it. It's 40 feet long by 30 feet wide. And we're going to offset it just slightly. We already did that in the placement of our hoops that you saw in this video. We didn't mount to the corner. We moved back about 5 feet and started it there. And that means it's actually going to overhang the shipping container by about 5 feet on this end, and we're going to be putting in a support here for that final loop. It's the one we didn't get put in on this time of renting the scissor lift. So that's the one we have to put in on another day. But what you can see is by placing it this way is that we have a bit of the bow sticking out, and most of the time we'll just keep that covered with a big tarp, and so keep it out of the sun. And because the majority of the work is going to be taking place on the salon and cockpit areas of the boat, and that'll all be underneath of here. And then on the other end there's going to be 5 feet sticking out, but that's just going to be these sugar scoops. And we're going to build a little structure over each of these to keep all the sun and rain and such off of those. So that was our solution to the fact that the next size tunnel tent would go way back here, and we just didn't have the support and of the shipping containers for it and such. Just wasn't set up for that. So that's the plan there. And it's also sort of why we set these poles back along here and then had them jog over to this. So the poles are set back a little further, and the reason for that is simply that we wanted room to walk up and down the holes on both sides, and that was a little bit of a problem since this tunnel tent is 30 feet wide and the boat is nearly 26. That only left about 2 feet, so we had to do something about that, so that's why we offset the poles a little bit. So that is why we did what we did, because we had to work with the sizes that they made into these tunnel tents. And that keeps the majority of the boat covered, and we'll make sure that we cover the bow with those tarps, and then we'll make some covers for the 2 sugar scoops. Well, since we didn't finish the whole tunnel tent on the day we had the lift because we ran out of time, we had to return it by 5, so we had to cut off at about 4:30. That meant that we need it back again for another hour or two to finish it up. So yesterday we went ahead and just shored up some things. We finished bolting all of the feet securely along the side there. We unrolled the huge 300-pound tarp that's going to go over the top and refold it into a fan fold so that it'll come up and over nicely. They didn't ship it that way, so we had to take it to a huge field somewhere and unfold it all and fold it back up again. And today what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and get the strings over. Even though the structure isn't complete, it's close enough for now. We'll get the strings over and see about pulling up the top a little bit. But a little later today, the lift will be available again, and we're going to bring it in, and we'll put the final arch in, and then a few supports. You can see one that's missing right up there in the corner, and there's some down the center. So a few more supports still need to go up, but it's enough right now for us to play with the top while we're waiting for the lift to be available. Now, we added some structure to this that wasn't called for in the plans, because we just wanted to make it very solid. So we've taken a bar, let me show you, in the far corner, and attached down to the shipping container just to give it some side support there. And same thing over here, we took a pole down to a cemented in pole base down there, and just to give it some side to side structure there. So that's where we're at, and now we're going to got to get the ropes over the top of this monster, and we could do it with the lift, but we want to get this done this morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this light nylon rope and this bag here, which is just filled with dirt to give it some weight, but it's soft so that if it lands on our hull, it won't do any damage. So that's up next. We're going to chuck this over and see if we can't get this line over there. Well, that didn't do well. See? Barely holding it. One tap and it was going to come loose. Okay, that worked. This one isn't so high. This little Frankenstein's monster piece of 2x4s and pallets and ratchet straps and screws and all this stuff is because, unfortunately, this scissor lift comes up about this much too short for us to raise the last and final loop high enough. And so we had to make this contraption to hold it up there. And we also have to do it with less people today. We have Brian and myself and my cousin Carl, who's going to help. And so we had to do it with less people, so we had to do some crazy things. So we're going to use this to lift it up, hold it in place, and then we can get the two ends bolted in. We'll get some side struts on it, leaving it under this the whole time so that it's safe. But once we've got the side struts and the bottoms attached and it's all good, we can pull this finally down, and then we can use the lift to get to the other struts that are higher up. So let's send this up. So that's our Frankenstein contraption holding this beam so it can't fall backwards or forwards now. That'll allow us to raise it up and get to the mounts on the side. Tell me, yell if you need me to stop. I don't want to trach it all the way down.
No, you don't. Climb up. Can you climb up it?
You guys.
I'm afraid of height.
I'm not.
Let's do rock climbing.
I am. That's not the point here. The point is it's just a pain in the ass. Like I said, it's an awkward pain in the ass. Hi, not OSHA approved. Yeah, I'm gonna just lift it and move it in just a second. Don't do anything. A little more, 6 inches. More, you guys move your feet over a little bit. There you go.
If you go up now,
No, we're right, I got a mark here that centers it. I'm centered. Now I have to climb down again. Much better now. This is the really exciting part while we're at the top of this lift. Ever been on a high dive? You know, and you look and it goes a long way in the water, but when you're standing down on the deck and you're looking up at the high dive, it looks hollow and all. Same thing here. You're up there, you're going,
Wow, little ants down there.
So we're up here at the top. This is the nervous one. This is high up. That was really heavy. And I tried to get more people here, but it's a weekday and there's just people who were working. So we do have Michael DeRuiter here doing the welding and welding that all onto the top of the shipping container to really secure it down right now. And we've got it most of the way across right now, but we don't want to pull it the rest of the way until he finishes the welds. Then we'll pull it on down and start snapping in the belts with these little cinchers that cinch it all down on across there. So both sides. And that'll tighten it up there, so pretty close. So I know it's getting kind of dark, but it's not that late. It's just we're in winter time, the sun goes down early. But Michael's up here welding these down to the top.
So as you can see, with lots of hard work, we got that tunnel tent up in 1 week. It was pretty crazy, but we managed to do it.
Yeah, and thank you to all the people who came out and helped. Without them, it would never have gone up. Which brings us to the downside. It went up, and now we have to bring it down. So all that work we did for this entire week was a waste of time. What happened is I had already gone and checked out things like, can we have a tent on a piece of property in this city? Yes, we could. And in fact, just 3 or 4 blocks away, I can see a tunnel tent up in this city. And so everything seemed to be fine. And then I had the city inspectors come out because we want to make sure that it passed and we have the footings, because we have cement footings in and all the welding we did along the top. We want to make sure everything was, great and wonderful, and that we wouldn't have troubles later when the boat was in the way of changing anything. Which is when the city lowered the boom on us. I ended up going into the city offices after the inspector came out and working with everyone I could there, trying to figure out a solve for this. But in the end, we end up having to take down the tunnel tent and we can't put it up. And the reason for this is something that I didn't see when I was reading about tunnel tents in the city, which is only the resident of the property can put any kind of tent up. And we lease the land on the back of this plot of property, and in the front, a different person leases the house. They are the official resident because they are in the house. And unless they are the ones building the tent, it cannot be put up. Even if I get them to okay the tent on the property, the city won't let me have it because I am not the resident. And I have to be the resident on that plot of land, and I'm not. And nothing I did, nothing I offered, no amount of money, nothing would change their minds. They forced me to have this thing taken down immediately. So that is a big, colossal waste of our money. Nearly $6,000 for the tunnel tent, which we'll try to sell, but we're never going to get that back out of it. And our time, which was a week that we just spent with a lot of people to put it up, and another week, hopefully a little less, but something like another week to take it down. Plus, it got worse than that. Because the inspector came out, the same thing applies to the shipping containers. Now we are being forced to remove the 2 shipping containers. So we're going to have to move all of the parts, probably back to my house, store them there, and bring the ones we need as we need them to the lot. We'll work it out. But in the end, this is a colossal setback in both time and money. It'll cost us at least 3 weeks, maybe 4, of extending our project. So that's a month over already. For all those who did your estimates, we're now a month over time on it at
who knows how that'll go, but at least right this minute we're already a month over time. And of course now we're over budget because we spent that and we don't know how much we'll recoup on selling it. So it's a very, very, very hard pill to swallow for us. But here's the thing. We solve the problems each day as they come up. This is our next problem, and we're going to solve it. The boat will be built. And if there's any kind of silver linings on this, the boat itself is fine with the city of us building it still, even with the inspectors there. So we're okay to go on building the boat. And also, if we were going to have this monstrous, horrible thing from the city on that, it was better to happen now, because we haven't yet constructed the center portions of the boat, tying the two hulls together, putting the bulkheads across. And so right now it's easier to take down the tunnel tent and easier to move the shipping containers because we can still move the canoes. So I don't want to call this a blessing in disguise, but at least it's better that it happened now than later. It'll cost us less time and less money now. So, a very hard week for us. It started out so great, and we were so excited, and now, of course, it ended so badly. But we're going to move on, and we're going to get to work. In fact, today we're going to start taking it down, and hopefully we'll get that done in a few days here, and get back to work on SV Lynx. So, we do appreciate all of your time and your support. It helps a lot. And thank you to our patrons always.
Yep.
And all of you who watch. Thanks.
Yep. And don't forget to like and subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And let's hope that next week's ending is much more on an up note than this week's.
This week. Absolutely.
All right, so looking forward to next week's video. We'll see you then.
Okay. Bye.